Okay, I would like to officially call to order the Tuesday, July 19, 2022 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. This public meeting of the commission will be held under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233. Pursuant to the extension of Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this public meeting of the Town of Bolton Conservation Commission is also being conducted via remote participation. The public can access this meeting while in progress by Zoom Video Communications, Inc. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by telephone, cell phone, or personal computer using Zoom. Excuse me. And just some guidelines for participants. For those who have not done so already, if you are here in person, you're required just to sign in and provide information associated with your project. Members of the public attending this meeting may be allowed to make comments or ask questions only related to the Conservation Commission's jurisdictional items, if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment. Only items published on the agenda and jurisdictional to the Conservation Commission shall be considered at this meeting. If a hearing item is open for public comment, participants shall wait until they are recognized by the chair. Then they shall direct their comments and questions directly to the board. Should the commission wish to redirect to the applicant, we may do so at our discretion. And pursuant to our traditions, we will start with a roll call. I am Brian Barabee.
Jillian Glasanos.
Jim Garrity.
Rebecca Longwall.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. First up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open the public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131 and Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider the notice of intent for Alpha Terra Design, LLC, for the proposed construction of a residential driveway and intermittent stream crossing to gain access to upland areas for the construction of residential dwellings. Public hearing advertised and held today on Tuesday, July 19, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Holt Building. Do we have someone here representing the applicants?
Yes.
Hi. If you could just introduce yourself and kind of give us an overview of the project if you want to come up with it.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask that you project your voice. Again, we are using the camera here, but also so anyone can be understanding what you're saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm Ian Hazelton from Hannigan Engineering, here on behalf of Alpha Terra Design LLC. So our proposed project is a wetland crossing. It is a shared driveway that comes off of Main Street for access into the upland site of our site. That's for construction of two single-family homes. So for the wetland crossing, we will be constructing two masonry retaining walls on each side of the driveway to mitigate the impact of the wetland. And then underneath we'll be installing an open culvert. So this, the site mainly consists of bordering vegetated wetland right off of Main Street, and then up on southerly, the upland side consists mainly of woodland. So due to the nature of the topography and the layout of the parcel, we're proposing to cross the narrowest part. I guess we'll be impacting approximately 2,700 square feet of wetland. And then we're proposing to put in a wetland replication area just westerly connected to that feeds into the existing wetland. That's going to be approximately 5,400 square feet, approximately 2-to-1 ratio. So that for the driveway, the design consists mainly of a switchback design to allow safe traversing up to the proposed two single-family homes. Also included in the design, what's it called, a runoff, a swale will be constructed on the down gradient side of the driveway. Also, there will be yard drains and check dams included that will feed into a proposed rain garden here. Let's see.
If you can just pause for 1 second.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna unmute
Yep.
and
If you want to
you know.
Sorry.
So the like I said, the disturbance is approximately 2,700 square feet. In order to put in the 2 single-family homes and construction of the driveway, we're going to be clearing approximately 8.7 acres of the 30-acre lot. And all the disturbed areas we will be seeding with a conservation seed mix to allow for soil stability. Erosion control will also be implemented along mainly right off of the Main Street side will include hay bales and straw wattle, and along the driveway will also include just regular straw wattle. There will be, for the 2 proposed houses, there will be on-site septic and private well.
Can I ask, so the extent of jurisdictional area, is it just the crossing? In other words, are the houses outside the jurisdiction, the entire driveway basically, with the exception of the crossing?
Correct, yeah,
So is it that kind of lighter green color, so is that?
yeah, so that is the wetland.
Right, everything else is kind of, I see there's other wetlands on the property, but you're not proposing anything around there?
Correct, that's outside of the 100-foot
Right.
buffer.
And they're, okay.
And this was an area that had a temporary crossing previously permitted by the commission for the testing.
All right, so this is the one down kind of across from Bolton Spring Farm?
Yes.
Almost diagonally across, okay, I was trying to picture where it was again.
Mhm.
All right. Those are the first 2 questions I had. Any members of the commission, other members of the commission have any questions, comments, or thoughts?
I was just curious, when I look at the septic system for the first house, it seems like a long way away. Is there a reason for that, or
That's just where the
just where it
original-
landed?
Okay.
Yeah.
So just over the screen. Any other commission members have questions? Not seeing any. Usually with something like this, we'd probably like to schedule, I know I'd like to schedule a site visit, I'll put it up to the other commission members too. And when we do come out, if you could possibly stake out the limit of work, where it's gonna be in there, if you could somehow stake out what the replication area would be.
Yep.
I think, if you could do the center line of the driveway,
Sure.
and
Yeah, sure.
I don't think you necessarily need to like exactly mark out where swales and or check dams will be, but if we can walk the center line of the driveway, you can probably point out to us where you're thinking they might go in, if that makes sense, if it's on site. Trying to think what else. Basically, that's what I'd kinda like to see marked out on site for a site visit. Other commission members have thoughts, other things they might like to see. I think we're in agreement that the site visit's usually the way to start. Not seeing any. Members of the public, anybody here tonight to comment on the new construction, 0 Main Street? Anyone online?
I'm not seeing anyone.
Okay.
One comment, if I may, Brian.
Please.
Let's just read into the record the DEP file number, which is 1120712. The additional requirements or comments were specific to 401 water quality certification may be required for this project. The project qualifies for 401 certification under the Army Corps of Engineers General Permit for Massachusetts, provided that the project meets certain conditions outlined in 314, CMR 9.03 and 9.04, and the conditions under MAGP. water quality certification information is available and is providing further site information for the applicants, which they may have already done to review whether or not it applies.
For the record, Chris Anderson with Ambient Engineering.
Yep.
I did take a look at that comment. We actually received it from another project as well. Based on my review, and I'm gonna have a second opinion from our wetland scientist, Karen Environmental. This project doesn't quantify as a 401 water quality because we don't cross an outstanding resource water wetland. It is altering wetlands, so as long as we stay below the 5,000 mark, you don't qualify for the 401 water.
Okay. And we can- I was gonna say, it seems like you're nodding along, that,
Yep.
that is to your understanding as well, okay. So, all of that said, would you be fine if we continue this until our next public hearing in order to give us a chance to come out and do a site visit?
Yeah.
All right. Our next meeting is the third, second, third?
Second.
Okay. What's our first time available?
It is, I'm gonna say 8 o'clock. Yes, because we have public meetings till 7:45.
Okay, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 0 Main Street, Alpha Terra Designs, proposed wetland crossing until our next public hearing, Tuesday, August 2nd, at 8 o'clock PM. Do I hear a second for that?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori.
Could you repeat, Lori?
Okay.
Abstains.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Through the chair, relative to the sidewalk, do you guys do just a blanket day, or just go see all the sites, or is there a certain day we want to set up?
I will,
It's-
I will follow up,
sorry.
so I will reach out to the commission members, see their availability individually, and then I'll reach out to you to figure out when your availability is to be out on site.
Okay, just want to get a few days to get our crews out there to get all that stuff taken care of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and usually we'll just try to coordinate what day works best, and
Perfect.
if we can stack multiple, great, but we can also go site specific, so.
Actually.
Thank you.
Thank you. Zoom still on for you?
Yes, you're not able to.
I crashed, yeah, so
Okay.
I apologize.
Do you want me to share my screen with the agenda or?
I would,
Okay.
I would just, as long as they can hear Ryan when he's moving.
Okay.
Our next
You
item,
can just note if there's like a comment or something on the
Mhm.
public comment.
7:30, correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, so, do you want to move down at all?
We can do the enforcement update.
Yeah,
if you
on
want.
Century Mill Estates, yeah,
Sure,
please.
thank you. So, the request this evening is that the commission essentially update their vote to issue fines. The reasoning is because one parcel has requested a certificate of compliance for their parcel only, but the way the vote was made at the last meeting to issue fines, we referenced just that DEP file number. We didn't reference and a certificate of compliance, so if there's a partial, technically that meets what the commission had required fines for before. So it's just reiterating that you still want to be continuing the fines because there is still an expired order of conditions on the property. It's still ongoing work. In addition to that, the other side of the update is that we have contracted BSC Group to review the wetlands and stormwater because we did have that available in our funding currently, so that the commission will have an up-to-date what the actual violations are and what work remains still as part of that development.
Gotcha. So basically, we need a roll call vote to issue the fines.
Yep. If you still wish to
Right,
continue
right.
doing that. If you
But-
don't, then that's at your discretion.
Issue them for Century Mill Estates and the DEP file number,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And it's basically,
Yep.
commission members and Lori remotely, questions, comments on that? Any thoughts or understand what we're trying to basically reissue? You guys are fine, comfortable?
Yeah.
All right. In that case, I'd like to call a roll call vote that we indeed issue the fine for Century Mill Estates, DEP file number 1120526. All those in favor, please say aye. Starting with Jillian,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori, and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Great, thank you.
Did people have a chance to read through July 5th, 2022 minutes? So any edits, changes, corrections? If not, anybody need more time to read through the minutes? Saying any?
Jillian
Alright.
found
That's
an
okay.
amendment, so Jillian was not present at the meeting last time, and there was a vote where her name was on it, so obviously that was a typo, or rather it wasn't taken out, so that will be the one amendment.
Okay.
We'll be taking Jillian's name out of it.
All right, so in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for our July 5th, 2022 meeting as drafted and amended at this evening's meeting. Do I hear a second for that?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian,
Abstain?
yeah, Jim,
Aye.
Lori, and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Great, thank you.
Do we want to talk Henderson Striker? What's the best? We have 10 minutes.
The best way to do that probably is, the larger scale question is, would the commission like to hire Henderson Striker again to take care of Butternut and Bowers as they have done in the past? I had sent to you basically the maintenance schedules and the cost of that. We do keep it under what we have in the budget to be sure we have the ability to do other things. So that would be the question is, would the commission be comfortable contracting with him? He sent us the proposal.
Yeah. I could just admit, I've looked through it. I know we've used them in the past. We've been happy. They generally know their stuff. They're not overly cheap, but nothing is nowadays. And this is kind of in line with what they had quoted us in the past. You know, it's very similar, so I didn't have a problem with it. And I'm comfortable going forward with them, but anyone else have questions, comments?
The plan seemed reasonable.
Okay. Lori, comfortable with Henderson Striker still?
Yeah, fine.
All right. So in that case, I was gonna say, I don't know if I need to memorialize it. I'll probably, yeah.
That would be helpful.
All right, so I'd call for a roll call vote that the commission will once again employ Henderson Striker for maintenance at Bowers and Butternut. Following the maintenance plan that was submitted at this evening's meeting, maintenance plan and budget was submitted at this evening's meeting. All those in favor of contracting Henderson and Striker again, please say aye, and we'll start with Jillian,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Reasonable, thank you. The other item is, so some of these are just some items that are continuing to stay on the agenda as we have the Scout project, and then the Trails grant we received for the Bolton Trails Connectivity Improvement Project. We're still waiting for that funding to, there's a weird finalization approval that comes through even after you get the award. So we're waiting on that at the moment, but for Fifeshire, I also sent along a estimate for having goats come to address the poison ivy at the entrance. And I wasn't sure if the commission would like to discuss that, or if they were comfortable with that. And if it's in the budget, I would certainly like to be able to implement something like this as a pilot, and then if this is something that's successful and we would like to continue, there are other areas on that property, but throughout our other properties as well, that we can't use pesticides or herbicides on, that should really be addressed in
Yeah.
something like this.
I know we have discussed it in the past, and most of us, I think, were in favor of it. I see the quote, is that, I have no idea what the going rate for goat mowing is, I just,
That is the most reasonable that I've come across.
Okay.
Someone else provided an estimate for one of our other properties, and it was much larger.
okay. That's good to know, I wish Bill would.
I thought you were gonna
So, commissioners have comments, questions, thoughts regarding goat mowing at Bike Shack, or contracting for goat mowing?
Is there specific species that they're trying to fight back, is it poison ivy, is it just everything?
primarily poison ivy, but also just both sides of the trail on either side. It becomes overgrown, it's the main entryway, and you can access it, but it is grown in and it's primarily poison ivy.
Is it clear when they're finished, right, when they're finished, the job, is it obvious when they're done, or?
Yes, and what you might read in the document is that there are some responsibilities of the town. Just check to make sure they have water. That's the way I go home every day, so I don't mind taking on that responsibility if the commission wants. The other thing to note is they do suggest to follow up after the votes are done with a Dawn Epsom salt and vinegar mixture that actually helps further recede the poison ivy.
And they stay there for the whole time? They're fenced in and they stay
The goats,
overnight?
yes, it's an
Okay.
electrical fence, so on that property, we have the ability to direct people to the trail entrance near Fotini's or the trail entrance off of Sawyer Road by Haynes Wheeler property. And so there's still the ability to get into the property, there's access from Berlin still, and I will be creating a lot of signage. They have signage to state that the fence is live, basically, don't touch it. But I will be putting out, if the commission would like to move forward with this, information on the property, also work with our trails committee to try and get some of the information on their site updated. And along with that, trying to do a push on our town website to make sure that it's really publicly known that there's a live fence on the property, they're there to be doing maintenance, they're not there to be cuddles and snuggled as much as I'm sure some people would like to, but.
Yeah, Lori.
That's great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've talked about doing it for years, so it'll be interesting to finally have a project, see how it works, see if we like. Lori, any questions, comments, fears with goats?
Now we've been talking about it for a long time, so it's awesome.
All right,
You mentioned something about coming in afterwards in the spring,
Yes,
afterwards.
yep, so they suggested, it's a Dawn Epsom salt and vinegar mixture that they typically encourage people to follow up with after the goats have completed their work. And essentially that they've seen on other properties, and they have some research that they're doing that they've followed up with these properties, and it does work.
that's how I
When
feel
do
about
they
it.
apply that? August, September?
Basically just when the goats are done with their work. They didn't specify a season, but I'm sure if I followed up with them, there may be a season that they prefer.
Yeah, because usually, I know we get most success when, towards the end, when they're pulling in energy to survive the next season, and they pull it down into the roots, and things, it tends to kill things much better later in the season as opposed to earlier in the season.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And now, is the town gonna be spraying, or is that something that's already dealt with?
I think we would have.
We would be doing that, or that's something I would have to coordinate with so it wouldn't be the goatscaping company, if that's your question.
No, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
More like the town will be doing it.
Yes, that is correct.
Sounds good.
All right, I guess, all those in favor of contracting with Central Mass Goats, or Central Mass Goat Rentals, please say aye, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
And Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Couple more updates if you want me to run through them.
Please,
Ryan.
yeah.
Okay, so our update is that we have our volunteer land steward position still open. Our open space and recreation plan subcommittee member opportunity is open. We're gonna be focusing a little bit more on that in the upcoming months and doing some outreach associated with the open space and recreation plan subcommittee. And then we, of course, have a Bolton Conservation Commission seat open. So if you are interested, please contact myself, either calling or emailing with a letter of interest and cover letter. And resume.
I wish I kept in closer touch with Liz Clues. I wonder, she was very busy. I know her kids were, one of her kids was in something with one of my kids for a while too, but
Yeah.
I think her kids might be older now. I wonder, she put so much work into it the first time. She did an excellent job. If she would be willing to be there for the update.
I can certainly reach
I
out.
was gonna say, if at all possible. I could understand if she begs out, because again, she put in a lot of work the first time, but yeah, she would be excellent. All right. Taggart Forest Land is on here, was that part
That
of
was
the
a
system?
placeholder.
Okay. All right. 30 seconds.
Jillian, were you the chair?
I was, do I need to let you in? Are you good?
I'm in.
You're good, okay. I muted myself, turned
Okay.
up the volume, so you're good.
That broke down. Okay, so the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for determination of applicability submitted by Avalon Consulting Group for the proposed temporary structures, including a catering tent, approximately 30 feet by 40 feet, concessions tent, approximately 100 feet by 60 feet, first aid tent, approximately 10 feet by 10 feet, portable restrooms, and an ADA accessible restroom trailer for a 3-day professional golf tournament. Public hearing as advertised being held this evening, July 19, 2022, here in the Bolton building. Do we have someone representing the applicant?
We do, and it's in person.
Yeah.
Where is this? Good evening, my name is Kelly Cardoza. I'm with Avalon Consulting Group, and I'm here tonight to represent the Par 5 group and the International. Can you just check and see if Mike Goggin, this is weird for me to have it both ways, is Mike
Sorry,
Goggin on there as well?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, I have with me tonight Mike Goggin, who is the tournament director for Par 5 Group, Steve Brennan, who's the general manager with the International, and then Art Allen and Paul McManus, who flag the wetlands, and they're with Ecotech. So the Par 5 Group has been engaged by Live Golf to manage the Live Golf Invitational Series that will be held at the International from September 2nd through 4th. Escalante, the International, owns the property and has leased the property to Live Golf for the event. The 3-day event will be played on the Oaks Golf Course. So probably it's just Brian and Lori, both of you who were here about a year ago when we did the ANRAD filing, and you issued an ORAD for the wetlands on the Oaks because there was the upcoming renovation that would occur. But we'll go through all of that. So as part of the golf event, what we're proposing to do is all temporary in nature. It will be tents, and you referenced those tents when you read the notice, that will be installed for a short period of time, about August 15th to September 6th. And there will also be parking on Twin Springs Golf Course and parking on the farmland across the street from the golf course. So just to orient you here, this is Ballville Road.
Yep.
And this is Wilder Road. So the International, the two 18-hole golf courses, essentially the Pines is here, the Oaks is here, and then Twin Springs is at this location. So we'll look at a blow up of each of these areas. This is the first hole, the 13th hole. This striped area here is where we're proposing to have people park and have a bus depot at the farm across the street. And then, just so I don't have to go back to the plan, You can see this is Twin Springs, and there's a, almost a north-south running wetland series here. And you can see that the parking that's proposed is to the west, because when we look at them at 40 scale, you don't kind of get the same view. So this first plan is the wetland that comes off of, this is Sawyer Road, it comes off of the first hole. There's no work that's proposed within the jurisdiction. This is a wetland that was delineated under the ORAD, so we know that these flag locations are good. There are a series of tents that will be placed here, and a series of tents that will be placed here for the hospitality portions of the event. But there's no work within that 100-foot buffer zone, or within the adjacent upland town area, according to your bylaw. This is the 13th hole, and so this is where there is work within the jurisdiction, or there are activities, if you will. This again was delineated during the ORAD process. This is the 100-foot buffer zone here. This is riverfront at this location. And there's a stone wall that exists here, and this area where the activities will occur are maintained turf. So this is the snack bar that's in this photo right here. You can see this is the paved areas that allow access to that. And then if I was to go in this direction here, like this is that stone wall that's here, and this is the mowed area that's in front of it. There are a number of trees. The trees are shown on the plan. We're not proposing to impact the trees at all. And this is the paved area that is in front of that. And Mr. Chairman, I can share those photos with you.
Were those shared as part of the submittal?
They were not, so I'll make sure that I get them to you. I just figured it's easier for people to understand. So the activities that will be here, this is a series of portable restrooms that are located here, and there's a hand washing sink. There are the tents that were referenced when you read into the record. And then there are a series of tables. Those tables don't have any chairs. They have a pole and they're high tops, so people will stand around them to eat the hamburgers that they buy. This is a first aid tent that is located here. Again, that's within the, between the 100-foot buffer and the riverfront on this plan. And this is the existing snack shack, which really will not be used as part of this process. The restrooms that are here are, will be installed sometime after the 15th of August. They'll go, as will all of this, on or about September 6th. The restrooms will be serviced every night. So the golf event is for 3 days, and that's when the public will be present. But there are 2 days before that when the golfers will be practicing, or when there's a small tournament that's not open to the public that is for the golfers and some amateur players. So we anticipate that there'll be a pump truck that comes down here. It has a 50-foot hose. They won't need to leave the paved surface. They'll service those in the evenings, clean them out, pump them out, typical of regular porta potties. We won't have any generators here. There was a generator listed in the application, but we figured out that we can use the power from the snack bar, so there'll be no need to have a generator on site, and there'll be no need to worry about where that generator is refueled or any of those kinds of things. So we thought that would be probably a better option. So this is the farmland across the street. So this is Sawyer Road. This is the first hole that we were looking at. That wetland is up here. And this is Sawyer Road. So what they're proposing to do is to park the majority of the public at the Bolton Fairgrounds in Lancaster, and then shuttle them here. So there'll be a bus depot at this location, and then there'll be parking that will occur around it. So this wetland was not delineated as part of that ORAD system. So Ecotech delineated it here as bordering vegetated wetland. There's a 100-foot buffer from that, and so it'll be the same system basically for this location as well as at Twin Springs. We're proposing to come out, in this instance, 105 feet, because it'll be 5 feet, have the surveyor stake that, and then have them put a fence, a construction fence, or snow fence, the bright orange fence that basically says, you know, don't go past here, don't pass go. It will go like this, and then that will make it really clear that if there's parking in here or if there are buses in here, they won't go into that zone.
Just curious, does that move everything out of our jurisdiction for that area,
It does.
right? So, yeah, as those plans are, you know, so you can tell us, or, well, depending upon the delineation, I
Yeah,
guess.
so it does, if, what the commission's reviewing tonight is not the delineation in and of itself. What Kelly's referencing is that they had someone go out and delineate, it has not yet been approved by the commission, that's not part of this RDA as a request, that is an option that was not selected. So what they're looking for is the allowable area that they can use. So they're stating by their delineation that they've done, that again, the commission isn't considering approving or disapproving at this time. They've tried to be conservative, it sounds like, from what they've determined to be resource area by putting it out 105 feet. So, yes, if their delineation was correct, that would mean that what they fenced off would be outside of the jurisdictional area. But again, more phrased of, is the commission comfortable with that area being utilized for that purpose? And again, knowing that that delineation has yet to have been approved by the Conservation Commission at this time.
So let me talk to you a little bit about what the existing condition is of this property. The property is owned by Escalante the International, but there's a conservation restriction on it held by the Bolton Conservation Trust. So in the late 90s, there was a conservation restriction put on this land which specifically allowed parking in this region. And the farmer pays this area. We've had discussions with the farmer, it's allowed within the conservation restriction, and the Bolton Conservation Trust has reviewed and accepted the terms that we've provided to use this. The farmer understands what's gonna go on, he has hayed it. I think there's one more haying between now and the date that it gets used, and so he's fine with that. So this is not, you know, this is not a treed area, there is a tree line here, but we're not proposing any trees come down, we're proposing simply to install that fence and to park on the area. There's no grading, which is specifically prohibited in the Bolton Conservation Trust's CR. And then just, it doesn't really matter to you, but there's a plastic base that goes here on the ground so that there'll be very limited damage. It's a plastic system that was used also at the country club for the open, so that there isn't any issue with damage to the underlying area.
So, is that the Schultz Farm, that
Correct.
right there? On the map?
Here?
Yeah.
No, it's
No,
not
the
there.
Schultz Farm is, I can go
And
right,
that's- it's further down.
It is,
Parcel
yes.
line right there.
Yeah, this is the Schultz Farm,
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
What is it?
That's what they're
Bus stop.
proposing.
Oh,
This is a bus depot, so this is gonna be a tent
oh, okay.
where, and then there'll be a magnetometer so
Okay.
that people who come through here will be screened before they go onto the property. So the next three sheets are from Twin Springs, and it's basically the same deal as this. These wetlands were delineated by Ecotech, but they were not part of the ANRAD that we filed or the ORAD that you issued. So, when this was filed with you, there was a drafting error, and when the client gave us the parking area, it got overlaid, and so there was some parking that intruded into the buffer area, there was also some parking that was shown on Wilder Road. So I'm gonna give you a set of plans and email you a new set, just so that you have, the only revisions are to make sure that absolutely all the work is outside and so that we don't show parking on Wilder Road.
Okay, we'll need printed copies of that as well.
I'm gonna
Just want
give you
print
these,
copies.
and then email you some in the
Okay.
morning. So, so we're proposing to do the same thing here, which is, this is the buffer zone, this is the southerly-most tip of the parking, and there's no riverfront at this location. Again, there'll be that orange snow fence that will go on the other side. People will enter in from Twin Springs. This is, so now we're moving to the north, this is Wilder Road. So again, here's the buffer. You'll notice that we then have riverfront that comes down here. And the fence has been shown here. There's no longer any parking on Wilder Road, and the fence goes along there. So there will be limited parking again. And then this is the most northerly section of it. Here's the parking, we're now north of Wilder Road, and this is some additional parking that will occur on the driving range, but it's outside the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So, this is everything that we have for you. You know, Paul and Art are here to answer any questions about the wetlands. I know that that's not what's before you at this point in time, but certainly if you have any questions, we're happy to answer those. And again, Steve at the International is here, and Mike is on the phone. Unfortunately, he and his family have contracted COVID over the last week, so those little kids have been sick. So he got it yesterday, I guess. But all the work or all the activities are temporary in nature, and will last basically about 3 days.
Yeah, I'll open up for everybody's questions. And I was comfortable with a lot of the tenting. I know where you want to go with that on site. I understand it's not currently a cleared area. Assuming as part of this, we'll have a timeline for which it's going to be removed and the area allowed to go back to the way it was or return to the state it was at. I know you gave us those dates. When it comes to the first parking lot, again, it's really difficult if we didn't delineate or agree to where the wetlands were. But I see if the trust is comfortable with it, I would kind of be comfortable. If the trust was comfortable with their conservation restriction, which they're usually really good with, I would kind of be comfortable with that one. Twin Springs one is the one that throws me. I don't know why that delineation wasn't part of the original ORAD or ANRAD. I can understand there's lots of reasons. But yeah, I'm just, that's one I'd like to double check that delineation and see where it's at. And that said, I'd probably like to double check the other delineation as well. If we're gonna go out to check one, I believe you guys are honest and that's great, but we just can't take your word for it. We just don't take anybody's word that, we know marked exactly where the wetland is and, we have it all covered. So for me, and I'll put it out to other commission members, I'd like a site visit to at least get out there and check that delineation, and walk it and make sure that we agree to it, because I think, it's more than reasonable. If your delineation is correct, it looks like you've moved everything so it's non-jurisdictional, which is the first thing we ask for. As far as the stuff on jurisdictional land, again, a lot of it looks temporary. At least I can understand the need for some of it or most of it. And it looks like it'll be removed afterwards. I wouldn't have problems with most of that as it's proposed. But I'll open up to other commission members, thoughts, comments, questions.
Can I just?
Please, go ahead.
Let me explain about how when all the wetlands on the property were flagged, including Twin Springs. And Escalante purchased the property and said, and oh, by the way, we're gonna start construction and renovation of the Oaks on, I don't know what the date was, but it was really quick. And so we made the decision not to submit an ORAD to you for the entire parcel, because we were desperately hoping that you would come and be able to go through that. And you might remember that we had a number of series of of site visits to get that accomplished.
Yeah.
So we didn't do Twin Springs because they never intended at this point in time to do anything with it.
No, and I'm
So it's not
I
like we didn't
completely
hold it,
understand,
frankly.
no, it's more of just, you know, in general, it's just not something we would generally ever take somebody's word on, like we're gonna.
No, no,
wanna
that's
go on
fine.
the- So, you know, it was just one of those, I'm sorry it wasn't included in that, but I don't think we can come to a decision about these areas without us actually checking with and agreeing to what's been delineated.
So I thought that might be the case, so we've
Yeah,
had all the
yeah.
wetlands, we've had all the wetland flags rehung,
Oh, excellent.
so we're
Excellent.
ready whenever you need to do that.
So I think one of the points of clarification, again,
Sorry.
just referencing back to what was filed, the commission, if they so choose, would be looking at the limit of work proposed in relation to what's been flagged as wetland, not necessarily the approval of the delineation.
Yes.
Just to
If that- yes.
clarify.
Yes.
But yes, I understand that's what you were.
Yeah, but like I said, the plans for most of it, just about everything else, I don't have additional questions on, and I think I'm comfortable with as they're being proposed, but I just wanna put it out to other commission members. Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Just semi-related, but how many cars are you expecting to be on the property? You said most of the cars were going to be in Bolton Fairgrounds and then bussed over, but then there's parking here. Do you have an estimate of how many you think?
We can ask Mike, he knows exactly, I know there's 2,500 cars at the Bolton Fairgrounds, and we expect that there's 4,000 cars, 4,000 people, not 4,000 cars. So, the majority of the cars will be there, I don't know if Mike can
Yeah.
comment.
Hi, Mike. We had a question here from a commission member about how many cars are gonna be parked on the Schultz and Twin Springs property, or the Schultz farmed property and, Twin Springs.
Sorry, yeah, I've been listening in, trying to hear, it's a little hard to hear, I think it sounds like we're a little far away, but I didn't hear you, well, Rebecca, thank you.
Yep.
The Schultz lot is just a bus depot, and we'll have some fencing and some entry, you know, there's some points on that side across the street. The Twin Springs, north side of Wilder will probably be about 500 cars, and the southern side of Wilder on the Twin Springs will be probably 750 cars, I would say, max. They're much less than what that space, what we had originally been looking at. I think the numbers have decreased significantly, so we can push far away from that delineation and still be pretty comfortable in that space.
Wonderful, that's really good to hear, I think from a commission standpoint, but, so you don't have a number associated with the farm property? Or it's just going to be buses, and they're not gonna be parking there, it's just solely dropping people off?
That's correct. Buses and, you know, potentially some staging of materials and structures and such, but no vehicle parking on that space, other than, you know, simply to pick up and drop.
Okay, thank you. So what may be helpful, and I'll leave it up to the commission, is it might be helpful to update the plans to reflect that, because it sounds like there's not parking within the area that you've shown, and just establish that as a staging area and as a shuttle space. You already have the shuttle space on there, so it may just be a narrative that supplements what's there and says the parking on X parcel is now going to be staging, or whatever that detail might be. So
Sure.
that's at the commission's discretion, but I think that may be helpful to really clarify what you're asking for, and then what the commission's going to be reviewing for what they feel they can issue on it.
Well, in terms of, if I may, to
Yep.
speak to that, I think, you know, in terms of our ability to park there, we certainly, I think, you know, should put something there. We mark it as, you know, potential area for spaces. Also, you know, it's additional space that, I mean, in a weather situation or something would be considered for parking, but it's not something that I would use tomorrow given our current weather situation.
Sure.
But so in terms of asking for the ability to use it as parking, I suppose that yes, there is, you know, the opportunity for us to park there.
Okay, thank you for that.
Alright, so any other commission member questions, or does Lori have any questions? Yeah.
Lori, do you have any questions? or comments at this time?
Good, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Lori.
Any members of the public here tonight, or any members of the public online have any comments or questions at this point?
I see none.
So, would you be fine with us continuing so we can set up a site visit, come out, check those delineations? Specifically the Twin Springs is,
So I just wanna clarify.
Go ahead. Yes,
What
yes,
you
go.
what you want staked, because what I have staked right now are these wetland flags.
Yeah.
So do you need me to also stake the 105-foot,
no, I think if we can agree on the wetland flags
okay,
and we say 105 feet out, that's, I mean, I need to
Okay,
see where
that's
it is,
fine,
'cause
yes,
we'll
yes.
memorialize
So-
that in the
so
things.
we've had the wetland flags
Okay,
rehung, so whenever you're prepared to do a site visit, we can go ahead and do that.
excellent. Are you fine with us continuing until our next meeting?
Yes,
Okay, so Rebecca, we can try to set up a site visit. We're running into a lot of people's tight schedules. It's gonna be interesting. We'll try to get those site visits in before next meeting for sure, but as soon as we possibly can.
So 8:15 would be the next time on August 6th.
Okay, so in that case, I'm gonna make a motion that we continue, the public hearing, for the request of determination of applicability submitted by Avalon Consulting Group, until our next public hearing, Tuesday, August 2nd at 8:15 PM. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Lori. And Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Great,
Okay.
thank you. And that will be Zoom. We're back to
oh,
Zoom.
okay, we're back
Are
to
we?
Zoom.
Yeah. Just to
Long
clarify.
Okay.
We got
Just-
stuck
just
in
continue.
one. So,
Okay.
Do you have a sense of when you would wanna do the sidewalk? I mean, is it you doing evenings at this point, or weekends, or early, or?
not typically weekends, it's really up to the commission, so, I will say more recently, we've been doing, or the commission's availability has ranged either in the morning, but more recently in the afternoon. So any time after like 2:30, 3 o'clock normally. But again, I reach out to them individually to figure out, so they can look at their personal schedules,
Oh,
but
no, I understand, I
typically-
just,
Yeah,
we'll,
recently, that's
yeah,
what
we'll jump through whatever hoops we need to be available, I'm just trying to get clear,
Yeah, yeah,
Yep, no, I appreciate it.
yeah, we try to avoid weekends.
especially in
Yeah.
July.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna give you these.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll wait to hear from you on that.
Yep,
Thank you very much.
Great, thanks a lot.
yep.
I can put this board away now for a long time again, right, 'cause I'm.
For now.
Yeah, we want to be behind you when you.
Now we share screens again.
Yeah.
That's right.
Close my eyes.
Okay. Are you good to continue? We are,
Yeah.
close. Okay, 3 more minutes, or it was 8 o'clock one. Shoot. All right, to our many, many, many loyal fans watching at home, we have a 2-minute delay. Okay, everybody's ready. The Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing regarding an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for 580 Main Street. Do we have Ethan from BSC Group online?
We do.
Ha,
Ethan is present and also Tom Schutz of the 580 Main Street, so the applicant's team.
excellent. If Ethan or anyone from BSC wouldn't mind giving a quick review or overview of their site walk, and I know they did submit it in writing, but a quick rundown of the changes and or comments they suggested.
Yeah, absolutely. So I included a site walk outline using this case with the BSC group, sidewalk with Tom Schultz was on this call on July 1st, and we went through the site, looked over all the lines for the NRED. Some of the changes that we made were to a couple of the lines we shifted up. Some of the more notable areas were along one of the gravel access roads that leads to a field nearby. There was a section of access road which had been called out of the wetland but showed wetland characteristics while impacted, so that was flagged to be included in the wetland for the future. And then we extended that to basically to the edge of the property in that area, but that did not go like 100 feet past in the sense of like an NRED. So in that area, the NRED doesn't continue much further than that. And then we moved a couple more flags on the main annual high water of the stream. There was a beaver dam that had been breached. And after that, the main annual high water line was a little bit more apparent. I believe it was delineated in like a flood state, so there was a section of it that had been sort of estimated based on the fact that the water was just too high to actually delineate it. So we organized that. I believe that was part of that was going to be delineated after our site visit and then added so that will be reflected on the plans, I believe. And then we also observed all of the on-site stormwater basins, artificial wetlands, and went through their characteristics, their connections to the various resources. There were the 4 of the wetlands. So specifically, the one to the most north, we looked at it. It has wetland characteristics. It has a surface water connection to nearby wetlands. We then moved to the 2 isolated wetlands, one of which is forested and one of which is more herbaceous or scrub type mix. And looking at those, one of them has, the forested one has not seen really sort of any maintenance, but we determined those were not connected via surface water, so those 2 are isolated from each other. Then there is the sort of larger wetland basin to the south of the property, and so we looked at that one that has the 3 outlets into the nearby wetland. The berm itself contains wetland characteristics, hydric soil, hydric veg, and evidence of hydrology, and the wetland basin itself also contains wetland characteristics. So we didn't alter any lines in that area. I believe there was delineation that included those, but has maybe might not include those in the future, and so that line may still sort of be in question, depending on whether or not that basin is considered jurisdictional. But so we looked at those areas, and then I believe those were most of the areas of contention in terms of the line itself. Just looking over the letter really quick to make sure. So I believe that those are the areas we looked at, and those were generally the results of the site visit. I'd be happy to answer questions on that, but that was generally speaking what we found. And then I believe the commission has seen the letter report.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also can't really hear what's going on in the room. I apologize. I don't know if anybody else can. That's on the Zoom call. It's very quiet. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me currently?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That was when we do have a camera here in the room as well that will be recording. So the meeting will still be recorded. You'll be able to see that. We don't have anyone else presenting here this evening, so that will be helpful. Everyone else is on Zoom. So you shouldn't have any issues going forward, but please sort of flag us or let us know if that's the case. But that was during when people were presenting, they were on the opposite side of the table, so I do apologize for that. So, Mr. Chair, I don't know if you want to just take it from here.
Sure. No, I read through and appreciate your comments, and I'm curious if the applicant or one of the applicant's representatives are here. If they understand the comments you made, or if they have any questions regarding the comments you made, or any areas where they may disagree,
Tom is present, if you would like him.
please, yeah.
Tom, we didn't receive any revised plans or any response narrative, so I wasn't sure if you had questions or disagreements, but that is, I'm not sure if you heard what the chair just asked, but did you have any further questions, or were there any other information that was in contention or disagreement at this time after the site visit and findings?
No, good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Schutz, and I'm with Goddard Consulting. Today, we didn't come with any site plan revisions, as we still have a couple of disputed items that we still have left to talk about. So we'd like to kind of get everything in order before we submit a further site plan. So we can kind of have everything all together at once to submit a final package to the commission to finally close out this ANRAD.
Okay.
So going through Ethan's comments, if I'm allowed to share my screen, that would be great. If the commissioner
That would be
can
fine.
see that as well,
Yeah.
that would be good.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so
Oh, we
these
can't
two
see
ethims
it.
are where
It
Tom,
hasn't.
Ethan and I
Tom.
revised most kind of flags. Yep.
Okay, now we can see it. Sorry, you gotta wait for the lag, but we're there with you now.
All right, great. Can everybody see now?
Yep.
So these are the two main areas where Ethan and I revised the most kind of flags. You can kind of see the brush line here. We revised GC 100 through 106, and now those are GC 100 through 100-6, and they came out all the way to the shrub line, and down in this section they kind of connected across and created a hydraulic connection between these two BVW systems. Now there is somewhat of an intermittent stream that connects these two, as we saw in the field and as we've seen previously on our several sidewalks.
And Tom,
I've also, yep,
as you go through this, can you just confirm that you were either in agreement or you were not in agreement?
we were in agreement about these flags here. We corrected these in the field together.
Great.
So we were in agreement with these flags and Ethan's comments. I believe that they were area 2 here.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, area 1, that's what this comment is regarding. So we just spoke to that.
And just to get my bearings,
Ethan also-
sorry, that, the place that he just went over,
That was by the field. the
okay,
access road.
yep, okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry, I didn't
So-
catch that.
Sorry.
Why?
Jillian was just asking for some orientation, and was pointing to the area that you were saying you were in agreement about, that flags were added or rather connected. So I just relayed to her that that was, the old access road to the field,
Correct.
so that
yep.
she
So
understood where that
field-
was.
The field is down in this section. If you can see my mouse, it's down to the south of where we added those flags. So now there's an intermittent stream connection here, and the flag kind of delineate the bank of that. We want to call it an intermittent stream. It's more just a hydraulic connection between the two BVWs that has been kind of trampled over the years and allowed to flow downhill into this BVW system.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Another point of contention was the delineation of this back section of the perennial stream. Ethan and I walked this entire berm, and then also the entire, every mean annual high water flag here. I added 20 flags today from mean annual high water 22, and I added all the way to mean annual high water 42. And that added a little bit of that beaver slide where the original beaver trap was. There was a section of stream that was still flowing today, even during the drought, so that was added. So we were in agreement about that as well. Next, I also agree with Ethan's comments regarding the isolated wetlands here. We agree that these are isolated wetlands and jurisdiction under the local bylaw only. That includes this one up here. I think that was it for.
Those are by the building.
Yep.
So,
So Tom, I was just saying the isolated area you were pointing to was by the building, just for orientation purposes of the commission, that's all.
correct?
Yep.
Sorry.
We'll move up and we'll talk about
We're frozen.
the northern detention basin here. That is the north of the existing building. There's also a large parking lot here, and the street kind of moves off to the east. We agree that this is a stormwater management basin. This was built in 1985 or around that time. We've seen that on the plan. It was built in an upland area. It's a manicured area with stormwater outlets during high water. So based on Ethan's comments, we are standing with our comments that this is a stormwater management feature and is non-jurisdictional. We have those plans. This is built in an upland area and it is manicured. We were out there during our site walk and we did see that this was in fact cut during, so it allowed access to it in case there was any need to do any kind of work to the stormwater management basin itself. We also are staying with the fact that this is a stormwater management feature in the south, and we would like to ask for some kind of determination on that tonight, so we can kind of move forward with the process here. Again, that was shown on the plans as built in an upland resource area as a stormwater management feature that was submitted by Ethan. And we do believe that this still is a non-jurisdictional feature on site. So I'd like to open it up to the commission to answer any questions from me, or I guess if you have any questions for Ethan as well, we'd both be happy to talk about it.
Just one point of clarification, I was just opening some of the paper maps for the commission as well, because their screen had froze. For the northern basin, we heard everything that you said, but for the northern basin, were you in agreement with what was noted in the report that Ethan had provided to the commission? And this is northern towards 117.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we agree that this was being split into two sections. It doesn't have an outlet. There's also a stand, but that is a historic marsh that was tied into the stormwater management feature. And we agree with this comment on the basin being tied into the stormwater management of the property and thus being a stormwater management feature and non-jurisdictional. Again, I would like to bring up that it was built before 1992 or 1996, and it was built in an upland resource area as shown on these paper plans, so I could find the correct one. So this is a bit tough to orient yourself, but here is Main Street right here. This is north. We also have the pond itself right here, which is the stormwater management pond and fire pond. And these are the built berms around the entire thing. And here's the existing building today.
Okay, so to be clear, Ethan's comments did not state that it was non-jurisdictional. You are concluding that the applicant, in your perspective, is that it's non-jurisdictional due to the evidence that was provided on site and that the data that was collected on site as well. Is that correct?
That is correct,
Okay,
yes.
okay, thank you. And then for the southern basin at the rear, so you're asking the commission to make a determination on essentially all the points that are in this letter on jurisdictional or not, and more specifically on the northern basin and the southern basin areas.
Correct. I think that we were both in agreement for the lines that we corrected, the isolated wetlands,
Okay.
also the river area that was selected or corrected and flags added to. Now we just need to determine the stormwater management feature jurisdiction.
Okay, Ethan, is that accurate to what?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any commission members have any initial thoughts, comments, or questions based off what we just heard?
Yeah, I guess I was just still struggling with it being, the two basins being jurisdictional or not. And the reason why they're not jurisdictional is because, why is that again?
So the commission has not made a claim whether it's jurisdictional or not. The commission tonight, that's the ask of the applicant, and that's the purpose of the peer review, to gather some more information. What the applicant is stating is that, Tom, can you just restate your reasoning for the northern basin? We'll focus on that for now, for your claim of it being non-jurisdictional, just so that our commission can be clear on what you're stating.
Yeah, I'm stating that this section here is a stormwater management pond or a fire pond. It was created in 1985 when these plans were also created here. This is built in an upland resource area, and it is a created pond itself. You can see the large berms around this section here, and it is also a manicured pond itself to allow for the firefighters or anybody else that needs to access the stormwater management pond to get to it, do any work to it that's needed. It does have a spill out point for when the water gets too high in this section, and that's located right here. But again, this was created in an upland resource area and we are claiming is non-jurisdictional.
Rebecca, you might not be an expert on this, but based on when it was built and how it functions now, are we able to make that determination that it's simply a whatever stormwater management feature and it's not?
That'd be up to the commission. So it's basically pre-1996, and then if it needs to also carry wetland characteristics, which seems to be the case, I think on this basin in particular, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but this one has a dry hydrant, I believe, associated with it, at least one of the portions of the northern basin. And in addition to that, they do regularly mow around the circumference of the basin, but not inside of the basin. I don't know that they dredge the basin or they clean it out regularly, but they certainly do mow right around it, and there is a dry hydrant. There's a overflow, like was relayed to you as well, but it does predate 1996, and it does have some wetland characteristics as well.
Commission members have thoughts, comments, questions regarding this particular basin and whether it's jurisdictional or not, or?
Well, Rebecca, to your point, is it maintained as such, like is it dredged and the dry hydrant maintained and all of that?
The banks are maintained a bit to allow for access to it from the fire station, and also the outlet. Ethan and I both saw that would allow water to pass through into the wetland if needed overflow. So those areas are manicured for access for the fire department, as this is a fire pond.
Yeah, I'm somewhat stumped on this. I can see both sides.
Lori, do you have any comments?
I'm the same way. You know, I knew this was definitely built. There used to be a field there. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
All right, so could we come back to this one and talk about the one at the back of the lot?
So the southern basin,
Southern Basin.
at the rear of the park.
Yeah.
Or the southern wetland.
Okay.
Yeah, because that one, I mean, I could see it with that northern basin, but with this one, just the way it currently exists and is functioning, I would hate to say that that's just a stormwater management feature and can be changed. I think it plays into the entire ecosystem that's surrounding it now. And oh God, I want to say, so it'll probably be the almost northerly part of the pond here. It's almost directly tied in with the wetlands that surround it. So I'd have a hard time saying that is no longer jurisdictional or not jurisdictional, just because it's fundamentally interconnected with wetlands and river systems that we know to be there. At least from what I've observed in the field, it really seems to be. But again, other commission members, I'd love to hear thoughts, comments, questions regarding this basin.
I would agree with you in the whole, yeah, that whole area. Yep.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I haven't.
Okay, yeah, you have,
seen it, so, yeah.
all right, and Lori, I don't know if you have strong feelings.
I guess I'd go with this one as being more, has totally turned into a ecosystem as opposed to the front one. But yeah, I mean, just looking at it, when you're there, you automatically feel that it's part of the whole wetland system.
So I guess I put it back out there that, and again, I can officially poll the commission, but there's 4 of us here tonight. The 3 of us that have seen it all kind of think that this the northern pond would be jurisdictional nowadays. Southern pond would be jurisdictional nowadays. Again, I can put it to a vote or poll to the commission. As far as the northern one, I could see us saying that was more of a stormwater management feature. Again, Lori even said that she knew it was existing field originally. It was dug out for that sole purpose. You know, and it's kind of isolated in its own way. I would be comfortable saying that one was non-jurisdictional, but that main southern basin, I would say that would be jurisdictional. And again, I can put it up to the commission. The 3 of us that have seen it, I think all feel similarly. We have 1 commission member who hasn't seen it, and again, I'm happy to set up a site visit if you want. But I would think that's the way we're leaning, if that helps, or if that gives you the answers that you're looking for tonight. In other words,
Yeah, I think that would give us the answers for sure.
okay,
That would be great.
all right.
So I think it would be helpful to maybe poll the commission on the couple of areas to confirm that, so
Sure.
that they can go back and revise plans.
Sure. So if I say the northern,
I think, let me pull up the.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I'm saying the correct ones.
So you can do it by areas, so area 1 was that hydraulic connection that they were in agreement on. Area 2 was the mean annual high water line that they were in agreement on. So just, if the commission's in agreement with that, just confirming they're also in agreement. Area 1, the northerly isolated wetland, that is in fact an isolated wetland. Then the area 2, the southerly isolated wetland, that this area was in fact an isolated wetland. And then we have area 1 located at the north of the site, west of the mapped riverfront area in BBW. This is towards 117.
Yep.
And again, that's the northerly, and the one that you were just referencing as non-jurisdictional, in that it is a stormwater management basin.
Yep.
In the created marsh, and then area 2, located at the south end of the property, directly adjacent to the stream, that is jurisdictional to the commission.
Okay. All right. In that case, I'd like to poll the commission to see if we're in agreement with the.
I mean, you could just say Ethan's.
Yeah,
Or
with
peer review.
with the BSC peer review letter, that the reflagging of wetland limits, that we agree with the ones that have been done and not resubmitted yet, but to where both the BSC group and the applicant are in agreement. The area.
Excuse me, can you put the map back up, because you're really breaking up, and it's very
Yes.
hard to hear what you're saying, so if you go to hit sir.
Oh.
Thank you.
All right, Tom and Sharon.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
We were doing it by the letter, so that helps.
So, area 1 and 2, according to the BSC group letter, I believe, sorry, not this area.
Yeah, so
There's,
that's
there's
that
2 area
hydraulic
1 and 2.
connection.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, the first area 1 and 2 basically being the hydraulic connection.
Yep.
Yep, that Tom's showing on his screen. And the other series, the MEHW line,
Yep.
yep, kind of shown in purple here. I'd like to poll the commission that we agree with this reflagging and that we would be comfortable with this, seeing this in new, any kind of new plans submitted. All those that are fine with the new flagging for these 2 areas, please say aye, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
All right, Jim.
Aye.
Lori. And Rebecca, I'm and I myself.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right, and then regarding area, let's see, regarding area 1 located to the north of the site and west of the mapped RFA and BVW.
Is this the
As
isolated
current,
or
yeah.
the northerly?
This is the isolated. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the northerly. Sorry. Yep.
Okay.
So for the, yep, for the northerly, well, basically what's being shown on screen. This is,
Yeah, you skipped the isolated area.
yep, southerly isolated.
Tom,
This
can we
is
go to the isolated areas first? Sorry, we just
Yep.
wanna be going in the process of the letter.
Okay. And now I can't remember where we had gotten to on this one. Sorry.
So, the
Yeah.
northerly isolated and then the southerly isolated, so that's
Yep.
these areas.
Oh, okay, those are the 2, all right, isolated areas subject to flooding. Sorry.
No, just isolated wetland.
Submit revised plans, right. Right, so are we in agreement with what BSC group is recommending, that these areas be basically categorized as isolated wetland subject to flooding, correct? Or
They're just
they're
isolated
isolated
wetland,
wetlands?
not subject to.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
But we basically are in agreement with what BSC is suggesting there. All right. So all those who are in agreement regarding this area, please say aye. Starting with Jillian.
Aye.
All right, Jim.
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
And Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
All right, so for the northerly isolated wetland. All right, so for this area, I'd like to poll the commission that we are in agreement that this is a non-jurisdictional area, because it's currently a stormwater management area that was created and maintained solely for that purpose. Are we in agreement with that, that it is non-jurisdictional based on that it was a stormwater management feature created in an upland area?
Fire pond, or is it the same thing?
That's the fire
Same
pond.
thing.
Okay.
So are we in agreement on that, starting with Jillian?
Aye.
All right, Jim?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
And Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Okay.
And for the southerly isolated wetland,
Well, it's not isolated.
it's not isolated, but yes, gosh, I'm so sorry, I am falling apart.
It's one of the.
Yeah, it's the,
Area
The
two.
last one, area 2.
keep doing southerly isolated wetland, area 1, area 2. Look at something in the property directly adjacent to the stream in BVW. That this is a jurisdictional area to the commission. All those that are in agreement with that, please say aye, starting with Jillian,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thank you.
Does that cover all of our areas?
I think so.
Okay.
Would you like to request from the applicant an associated narrative and revised plans?
That would be wonderful if the applicant could get us an associated narrative and revised plans based on everything we have discussed and agreed upon tonight.
Sorry, can you just repeat that? There was like a loud like noise between that. I only heard revised plans. Was there something between that?
It was the adjusted narrative, basically, answers to comments made by BSC and the revised plans.
Yes, we'll submit a revised narrative and plans.
That is excellent. In that case, is it okay if we continue until our next hearing, or our next public
Yep.
meeting? Perfect.
Yep.
All right, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing. Yep, I couldn't remember, we are 580 for the ANRAD for 580 Main Street until our next public hearing, Tuesday, August 2nd at 8:30 PM. All those in favor? I was to say, do I hear a second for that motion to continue?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Lori.
Lori?
Sorry,
Thank
this
you.
is dead.
That's
All
okay.
right, and I'm an aye as well.
Great, thank you. All right, Tom, I will look forward to that. As you are aware, the submittal date is noon prior to the public meeting. And it will be Zoom. The next meeting will be Zoom. Okay.
All right.
Ethan, thank you so much for attending. And I'm sure I will be following up with you.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, we're happy to review, the additional plans and whatnot to make sure, lines and whatnot all get changed. So
Awesome.
feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Perfect. The Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing to consider a notice of intent filed under Mass General Law, Chapter 130, Section, thank you. It's filed under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233. A notice of intent submitted by Foresight Engineering for proposed construction of a single-family dwelling, driveway, and sewage disposal system, including the installation of a well, installation of underground service utilities, site grading, and landscaping at 578 Sugar Road. Rebecca, is there an update on this project?
There is. The applicant's representative has respectfully requested a continuation with no testimony at this time.
Okay. Commission members comfortable and understand what they are asking? Any
Yes.
reason why we wouldn't continue? All right, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 578 Sugar Road until our next public meeting, Tuesday, August 2nd at 8:45 PM. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Jillian.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
And Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Scott was present, thank you, Scott. We will see you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care. All right. Last but by no means least, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing to consider a notice of intent for 711/713 Main Street submitted by Studio In Situ on behalf of Craig Bovaird for the proposed demolition of an existing barn. Anyone here representing the applicant this evening?
Yes, we have Craig on the phone, and I believe that's what Craig's phone is. And also we have Tim Hess from Studio In Situ Architects.
All right. If I remember correctly, the last time we had basically asked and continued to get a greater degree of specificity on some of the plans for what we were looking to do, especially as you would change some of the ideas of what you were trying to do in and around the wetlands, basically using machinery. Looking through what you submitted, it looked like you had entered added most of the, or just about everything we had asked for. I see you got specific on what machinery was going to be used, which was great. And it looks like you added everything we had discussed when I was checking it against my notes. I don't believe I have any additional questions on this, but I want to open it up to commission members. Does anybody have any questions regarding basically the amended set of plans that we received? members raising their hand.
No,
Alright.
No, further. Okay.
Rebecca, did you have thoughts or comments on what we had received?
I did not, as long as the commission is comfortable with what has been received and they feel that that covers the revised scope and the extent of work and protections necessary for the change that has been made. As I previously stated, in the drafted conditions that we had already, we did incorporate the machineries to stay on the paved area and the limitations of that. So just clarifying that it wasn't to be so much the manual work, but rather utilizing the machinery, and then the protection to the stream itself is, I think, what I was wanting to just ensure was in the narrative so that it was referenced properly.
Alright, I don't know if the applicants want to add anything. I don't believe any commission members have any questions currently. Actually, before the applicants add anything, any members of the public wish to comment or have any questions regarding this project?
I see none. Lori, do you have any questions or comments?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Applicants have anything they want to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I appreciate the chance to do so, but I don't think we have anything to add. We just did our best to address all the comments from our last get together. And
Okay.
it seems like you feel we've done that, so we're happy to be here, and thanks for your consideration.
Okay. All right, in that case, I'm gonna make a motion that we close the public hearing for a notice of intent for 711/713 Main Street. Do I hear a second for closing?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian,
aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well. I'd like to make a motion that we issue an order of conditions for 711/713 Main Street as drafted and submitted for the this evening's meeting. Okay. All those, I was gonna say, do I hear a second for issuing that?
Second,
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jillian,
aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, Tim, once that is signed by all the commission members, I will reach out to you to just confirm either mailing or if someone is going to come in to pick that up, and then we will arrange for that, okay?
Terrific, thanks so much. May I just ask, as a point of clarification, does the appeal period apply to Conservation Commission decisions, or am I thinking of CBA?
There's a 10-day appeal period.
10-day period?
Yep, and
Thanks
you
so
can
much.
confirm that by reviewing the Wetlands Protection Act and also the local wetland bylaw.
Thank you very much.
Yep,
Take care.
thank you.
Thank you all.
Looks like we've gone through the agenda. Any commission members have any new business? Don't see any. Rebecca, anything we should be aware of that wasn't already on the agenda? All right. In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we hereby adjourn the Tuesday, July 19th meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second for adjourning?
Second,
All those in favor, starting with Jillian,
aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
All right, and I am an aye as well, Rebecca.
Wonderful,
Good night.
thank you,
Good night, BATV. Which we need to shut off.